Welcome to Miss Rowe Classroom. Today we'll discuss The Ball poem by John Berryman. If this poem speaks to you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In The Ball poem by John Berryman, a young boy loses his ball. This minor event represents his first real experience of loss. Although the ball may seem insignificant, its emotional impact is strong and marks a moment of awakening for him. The poet sees the boy's quiet sadness and notes that no amount of money can replace what the ball meant to him. His loss teaches the boy about life's realities, that loss is part of life and cannot always be fixed. Through this experience, he begins to learn responsibility and resilience, gradually transitioning from innocence to a deeper understanding of life. Let's begin with the line-by-line explanation, followed by context. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. The poet begins with a thoughtful question, asking what the boy becomes in a moment of loss. The repeated what conveys emotional weight, urgency, and helplessness, either felt by the boy or the onlooker. The poet becomes a witness to the moment, adding immediacy. The ball is described as bouncing merrily, a word that contrasts sharply with the boy's sadness. The ball has a life of its own, carefree and happy. The ball bounces over, likely off the edge or pier, and lands in water. The cheerful tone of merrily is repeated, but this time it feels ironic or bittersweet, because the ball is now gone forever. Lines 1 to 4 set the emotional tone of the poem and introduce its central metaphor, the ball as a symbol of childhood, joy, and emotional security. The boy's loss is not trivial or unimportant. It represents his first real encounter with grief and the realization that some things once lost cannot be replaced. Through the adult speaker's quiet observation, this moment becomes a gentle but profound initiation beginning into the adult world, where loss is inevitable, irreversible, and often beyond consolation. No use to say, "Oh, there are other balls." An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy, as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down, all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. The speaker emphasizes that reassuring the boy with the idea of replacement is pointless. To the boy, this particular ball is unique and deeply personal. Its loss is not just physical, it represents the end of familiarity, comfort, and emotional attachment. The boy feels a strong emotional shock, not just sadness, but a deep grief that stops him in his tracks. This moment shows that he is facing real loss for the first time, a loss that leaves him momentarily unable to move. Physically frozen and trembling, the boy's posture reflects his inner turmoil or struggle. His stillness reveals the instinctive, uncontrollable nature of his sorrow, showing just how deeply he has been affected by the loss. As the boy stares into the harbor, it's as though he sees his entire childhood, the carefree days and innocence, vanish along with the ball. The moment becomes symbolic of growing up and the emotional cost that comes with it. Lines 5 to 8 capture the boy's intense emotional response to loss. The poet makes it clear that telling the child there are other balls is futile. The loss he feels is deeply personal and cannot be dismissed with simple logic. The boy feels a deep grief that makes him feel stuck. The moment shows him that some losses affect us permanently and change who we are. By staring into the water, he is not just watching a toy drift away. He is seeing a part of his childhood innocence dissolve, marking a quiet but transformative emotional awakening. This grief is not just for the ball, but for the safety and simplicity that went with it. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. People will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. The speaker chooses not to comfort or interrupt the boy, recognizing that this experience belongs to the boy alone. It is a silent acknowledgement that some lessons must be learned through feeling, not words. Offering money or a replacement would be of no use. The value of the lost ball lies not in its price, but in its emotional significance. Replacing it won't restore what the boy has lost internally. The boy begins to understand that he must face the consequences of his loss alone. This moment marks his first awareness of personal responsibility, of owning, losing, and enduring. The poem shifts into a broader reflection on life. The boy is realizing that the world is full of possessions, but also that those possessions are fragile and vulnerable. They can be lost, taken, or destroyed. The speaker gently reinforces a universal truth. Loss is inevitable. The repetition of balls emphasizes that this will happen again, not just with toys, but with relationships, moments, and opportunities. Lines 9 to 13 shift from the boy's emotional reaction to the speaker's thoughtful reflection. The adult deliberately steps back, allowing the boy to process the loss on his own, because this experience marks an important rite of passage. The boy begins to sense the weight of responsibility, the idea that possessions, once valued and lost, leave emotional consequences. Through this loss, he is introduced to a larger truth. In life, things will be lost, taken, or broken, and one must learn to live with that reality. It marks the beginning of emotional growth, a quiet yet painful step into maturity. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning, well behind his desperate eyes, the epistemology of loss. How to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know how to stand up many days. Line 14 emphasizes that some things once lost cannot be retrieved. No amount of money can restore emotional value. The word external highlights that money can't fix internal, personal pain or replace emotional connections. The boy appears desperate on the outside, but internally he is processing a difficult truth. The learning is silent and deep, taking place beneath the surface of visible emotion. The phrase epistemology of loss refers to the study or understanding of loss. The boy is learning not just that the things are lost, but how to endure it, how to recover emotionally, how to stand up after falling. Line 17 shifts from the personal to the universal. The experience of loss is a universal human condition, something that every person must come to understand at some point in life. Not only do people experience loss, but they also learn to persevere and survive many such days. The ability to endure repeated loss is a part of human resilience and maturity. In lines 14 to 18, the poet widens the focus from the boy's grief to universal truth. The speaker reflects that money, though powerful, is irrelevant when it comes to emotional pain. The boy is beginning to understand that loss is a part of life, not just of things, but also of moments, people, and innocence. This painful realization is happening quietly within him, marking a turning point in his growth. He is learning the deeper knowledge, the epistemology of loss, that it's not just about mourning or being sad, but about learning how to recover and how to keep going. The transition from emotional breakdown to resilience mirrors the journey that every person must undertake into adulthood. Let's move to the analysis of the poem. First, central idea. The Ball poem explores the theme of loss and emotional growth. Through the simple incident of a boy losing his ball, the poem reveals how personal loss can mark the beginning of understanding life's deeper truths. That things we value can be lost forever, and learning to accept this is a part of growing up. Second point is poem structure. The poem lacks rhyme and a fixed meter, reflecting the natural flow of thought and emotion. It is a single stanza composed of 18 lines in one continuous block. Lines are uneven, maintaining the poet's continuous observation. Sentences flow over multiple lines, enhancing the sense of inner contemplation or deep thinking. The poem's focus transitions from a simple incident to a profound philosophical reflection, illustrating personal growth to universal significance. The tone is empathetic and thoughtful, blending observation with quiet wisdom. Next point is symbolism in the poem, and it is an important point. Let's start with the first symbol, the ball. The ball is the central symbol in the poem. It represents the boy's childhood, innocence, and emotional attachment. Losing it symbolizes his first encounter with loss, separation, and change, a key moment in growing up. Second, the water or harbor. The harbor into which the ball disappears symbolizes the vast, uncontrollable nature of life. Water often represents depth, mystery, and emotional transition. Here, it symbolizes the irreversibility of loss. Third, money. The mention of a dime and the idea that money is external symbolize the limitations of materialism. It emphasizes that emotional experiences like grief and growth cannot be repaired or replaced by money. Fourth is the boy. The boy symbolizes every individual at the threshold of maturity. His reaction to loss reflects the universal human experience of learning to cope with emotional pain. Next point is theme. First, loss and grief. The poem explores a child's first experience of personal loss, illustrating how even the loss of a simple object can evoke profound emotional pain. Second, growing up or emotional maturity. It marks the boy's transition from innocence to maturity as he begins to understand that loss is an inevitable part of life. Third point is responsibility or accountability and acceptance. The boy learns that he must face loss alone, a first step towards taking responsibility for his feelings and experiences. Fourth, emotional value versus material value. The poet emphasizes that certain things, such as emotional attachment, cannot be replaced by money or materialism. Fifth, universality of loss. The experience is shown as a universal truth that everyone must face and learn to endure. To summarize the explanation, the Ball poem by John Berryman beautifully captures a child's quiet, painful moment of growing up through the simple loss of a ball. Beneath its gentle language lies a powerful message that loss is a natural part of life, is universal, and learning to accept it is the beginning of emotional maturity. Through the boy's experience, the poet reminds us that some lessons cannot be taught. They must be felt, and in feeling them, we grow. We have finished explaining the Class 10 poem, The Ball poem by John Berryman. Please visit our reference website, misroclassroom.com, for exam-oriented summaries, literary devices, extra questions, themes, character sketches, and extract-based questions for Class 10. In the next session, we'll analyze from the diary of Anne Frank. If you enjoyed the content, ask questions. Subscribe, like, and share the video. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Bye-bye.